Thank you for joining us tonight for Secure AF Podcasts. I'm here. PJ's here. We're going to be talking about our experiences at Defcon. We both just got back from Defcon.
Yes, we did.
And it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of people. And so we're going to kind of describe kind of our experiences and what we saw, what we liked, what we didn't like, and really just give an experience that if you've never gone to Defcon, it is something you should do. Absolutely. But you should also be aware of what you're getting into when you get to DEF CON. You had a lot of different sessions than I did, so I'm going to start picking your brain on some of those. You also did a lot of the after DEF CON things, the night events.
Yes,
I slept. I'm old, so I went home and slept. So anyway, that's going to be the episode tonight. Tonight it's in the afternoon, but we're going to have some fun with that. PJ first. What'd you think? What'd you think of DEF CON? Just kind of your overall experience.
Yeah, I mean, overall, completely worth it. So, I've known about DEF CON for roughly 13 years now.
Yep.
I've been following a lot of that stuff for a long time. Kind of always been wanting to go. Getting the opportunity to go now has been a blessing. Loved being there. I know it's vastly different. I've been in the forums. I've been talking with people even before this year. I know how different it was this year. And I think mainly, we can get into it later, but the main big changes a lot of people had were just like, okay, where do we go after the con is over?
Right.
Because there was no bar group or whatever, to go out and network. And that was a big pain this year, but I feel like a lot of people are going to come ready next year. So I don't think it's going to be completely different moving forward.
I would say it's probably different every time. So this is my second year.
Got you. Okay.
And I've heard those stories before. But here's the thing. I think every year is a little different because, of course, you got different people doing different things, and they're putting different events on. And so I didn't think it was bad this year compared to last year. I think to me it was kind of on par. I mean, it was different. The facilities were different. The Vegas Convention Center was different. It was fine. There was nothing wrong with it.
For everything that I know, at least for you and I, that we go to DEF CON for, that was still there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
Don't get me wrong, the parties are nice, but I don't go to DEF CON for the parties.
Absolutely.
So I loved what I learned. I loved what I did while I was at DEF CON, and there was even new opportunities this year that wasn't last year that I was excited for.
Yep.
So the Game Village stuff.
I saw that. I saw that you were over there doing stuff.
Yeah. So I used to do a lot of work on that just for fun. I used to own a media company for video games and movies and things like that. So that was something that I was always interested in since I was a kid. So having that opportunity to just go touch up on that skills that I've had for a long time, and then mix it in with a little bit more policy and pen testing was really cool. So seeing all that kind of come together was fun.
Well, that's kind of cool. I mean, I know that there was a lot of new stuff this year that I did not see last year. And that doesn't mean I saw everything last year.
There's too much to see, honestly.
Right, there is. Yeah, I mean, it's huge.
Yeah, it's massive.
I've heard estimates of 30,000 people. I've heard estimates of 60,000 people.
Yeah, I could see more than 30.
There's a lot of people.
Yeah, Friday was massive.
It was. It was huge. Well, even Sunday, honestly, was huge. There was a lot less people because I know people left early to get on a plane, but there were still a lot of people. There was a fair amount of people going, and we were trying to get sessions in the morning because the afternoon was all, we didn't know what was going to happen in the afternoon, and we got a whole story about that. But it was a lot of people. It was good sessions. I had a good time at Policy Village. And I went and did a couple of different ones. I did an AD thing, an OSINT thing, a pen testing thing.
The ADCC or a...
No. It was what was it? It was an Active Directory attack processes they were doing. It was a session. I think it was in the AD Village or...
Oh, okay.
On the far side there.
Yeah. Okay.
And what was weird about it was the very first session of the day, which I got very fortunate because I got in the line early. And they were cutting lines off, because you're like, all right, no more after this. Yeah. And the downside was the guy counted, and I was in the front, so I was okay. I felt very comfortable. But he got behind me, and he said, no, but the people from the previous session, I thought it was the first session today, but it wasn't, they stayed.
Yeah, they don't leave.
So there was less people allowed in, and that really made people angry.
Yeah.
So it was, I will say this, what I heard, I don't know if it's true or not, is they actually had fire marshals at DEF CON walking around, just sticking their heads in the rooms to make sure that people were in the seats, because it was the number of seats in the room was the amount of people they could be allowed.
So they couldn't have standing room or anything in there.
They couldn't have standing room.
Yeah, that checks out.
That really bothered a lot of people because you could put a whole bunch more people in.
Yeah.
But they wanted to meet fire code, which is great. Absolutely want to be safe. But that was one of the complaints that I had was the lines getting into the individual sessions were so long that by the time you got out of one session, went to your next session, you were not getting in.
Yeah.
You would have to skip a session just so you could stand in a line long enough to get earlier in the line. So what was your experience on that?
Yeah, so I didn't go to as many villages during sessions. I was at a lot of talks, doing a lot of networking, talking with people, and being out on the actual floor, doing like hands-on work too.
Yep.
Did a few CTF groups. I just joined in to just kind of like learn some things.
Sure.
But I know we did the social engineering village. We had Team Winslow compete.
Yeah. Yep.
And if it wasn't for them being pushed back in time, I barely would have made it.
Yeah.
Because that line, that place filled up fast. That line was super long. It went down the whole, like what we're saying, the whole hallway that the room was at, and then the main hall all the way down too.
Yeah.
And I was at the very end of that, and I showed up maybe 30 minutes in advance, and I still like barely made it. Call me crazy. It's wild how they didn't have a whole lot of space before this year's DEF CON.
Right.
So they separated everything out. Now we have a lot more space, but yet it still seems like the people are still growing who want to show up to DEF CON.
Yeah.
So it's still barely enough space, at least for the conference side, the conference side of things and the village side of things.
Yes.
When it came to main stage, there was plenty of space.
Yeah, I can say, but they only had so many sessions in there.
Correct. Yeah, they only had they had 2 sessions to 3 sessions at a time.
Yeah.
There, so everything else is hosted at villages.
So I went to an OSINT presentation down on the main floor. It was Sunday.
Yeah.
It was kind of one of those last sessions. I think it was my second to last session actually, and it was a great session, But the weird thing was, all the sessions that I was at for that day, they ended at like 20 minutes.
Yeah,
they were supposed to be 45, but they were like, "Okay, I'm done." Okay. Actually, you could get into the session and you were like, and it's over.
I wonder if it just happens to do with you have a bunch of technical people. This is how I am at least too. It's like if I ever do a presentation, I feel like I talk through it way too fast.
Possibly. I didn't feel like they were fast though.
Really? Okay.
I think it was maybe they were expecting more questions.
Like Q&A, maybe have 2 or 3 people instead of it. Yeah, that makes sense.
They were good sessions. Don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed the sessions. They were good speakers. Maybe they were new speakers, maybe, but I don't want to say that they were or weren't because I didn't really feel that from them.
Yeah, I know they do like to rotate out new speakers a lot.
Yep.
They like to
which is great.
Yeah, which is a really good thing. They still have the same people who come back every year. They also have the same, the same content creators that come back every year. But I know they like to bring in new speakers a lot. Like last year, I know Lemon, one of our old security engineers, spoke last year.
And I got to see his last year.
That's cool.
And what was weird about his last year, I'll give you a little bit of story. So last year, we were in can't remember what we were in, but the main area.
The forum?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay.
It was my first year. It was a lot of people, and I also did last year. I did Black Hat and DEFCON.
So you were probably dead by the time you got to.
Yeah. It was fun, and there was a lot of stuff. But by the end, I was done. But so for him, he was actually in a hotel that was out of the main area. So we were all standing there. So, okay, where do we got to find to go? Where we go to go see his stuff? And it was like 2 hotels over. So we had to walk all the way there, find his thing, get in there. It was fine. We got into, but the room was packed. We got in the far back corner, and I don't know if he was necessarily expecting that many people in his room, but that one was standing room. Everyone was just packed in
and that's
there.
like a hotel conference room, right?
It was a big conference room.
Wow.
Yeah, okay. It was a good sized room. And he did a great job, and we had a lot of fun. It was the first time, I believe, he had spoken at DEFCON. He had spoken lots of other places, but DEFCON was the first time.
Yeah.
And I want to say he spoke this year. I didn't get a chance to see it.
He did the shower talk.
That's it.
Yeah, so he didn't speak at DEFCON, but he did do a speak at a party at DEFCON.
Right, okay.
He was... that's his story to tell. I won't say why he didn't speak this year, but yeah.
No, it's... I'll reiterate, It was a good conference.
It was.
There was a lot of good content.
I had a great time. There's 0% of me that regrets that. I enjoyed it entirely, thoroughly from start to finish. So it was a great time. So,
if you had to pick that one thing, that best experience you had at DEF CON, what was it?
So all the speeches I went to were great. All the events I went to were great. But I ran into a lot of people I've never met before.
Which is great.
Like, honestly, the networking marketing was great. Going out there, rubbing shoulders with people, brushing up on some knowledge that I've never known, people showing me their tools, me talking about like tools that I'm working on. And it was just really cool to have that collaboration effort because there's everyone there kind of for the same reason of like, hey, we're all just trying to protect each other here, and we're all just trying to do a really good job here and learn new things and do dope stuff, you know? So anytime I saw someone with their laptop open and they look like they're doing something cool, I'll go sit next to them like, hey, what are you doing? Can I join in? And they're like 9 times out of 10, they're like, yeah, absolutely. Let me show you exactly what I'm doing here. And here, let's get your laptop up. Let's, you have a hotspot. You do? Okay, cool. Get your hotspot ready. Let's do this. Let me walk through this with you.
That's cool.
So I made it an effort when I got there was to go to as many like talks as I could, but to mainly always be out on the floor and not be back at the hotel, just to talk as many people as I could.
Right.
And I met some awesome people there. So honestly, the convention is a great, how to put like a hot pot of different different industries that are all associated with security. And different cultures and different people. And it's like, if you're not really enjoying that, you could still get a lot of great things for sure, but I feel like you're really missing out on a big part of the DEF CON culture is if you're like missing out on the culture, right? Missing out on the people. And I had an absolutely wonderful time that way. A lot of great connections, a lot of great people, a lot of great like learning opportunities. And, if I ever get to a point where I'm like, hey, I really want to learn this one thing and it's maybe something that we don't do here, I could reach out to them and be like, hey, like, how do you do this thing? Or like if we ever come into an instance, IR or whatever, and they're like, hey, we need this one thing. We don't have a guy for that. I'm like, well, I do now.
Right.
And that's cool. So.
Right. And that's really kind of the cool thing is because they have tables set up. When you go there, you have all your villages and you have all your hallways. Well, there's always tables set up around the hallways. Yeah. Every time I sat down, either because I just needed a break or I was waiting for the next session or whatever, someone's going to sit down next to you. What was fun for me is all the tables had stickers on them, random stickers people would throw on there.
Sticker con.
And so I would pull stickers of ours out and throw them down, just for the fun of it. And people would swarm the table because it was different. Every table had had kind of the same stickers everywhere. But the table I was sitting at had something different, man. They would jump on because different colors, whatever. And they didn't know I put them down. They just, it was different stickers. So that was kind of fun for me.
That was fun.
I would say that the two experiences that really stood out for me, one of them was because of you, but I'll talk about the second one first.
Gotcha.
We were able to do a small little Oklahoma meetup, which was actually kind of fun because when you go to these things, you're going to see people people you interact with. And so we threw a thing out on LinkedIn. It's like, hey, if you're from Oklahoma, let's go meet at a food court somewhere just right there by the convention center. And we had about 25 people or so show up. And people had texted other people to get them in. So that was a lot of fun to see people from Oklahoma at DEF CON supporting that, but also showing that Oklahoma, community, the cybersecurity community is really strong.
We're a close-knit community here.
It is, absolutely.
It's still a growing industry in Oklahoma, so we really do stick together here.
And it's still small. Correct. People know each other. But the first one was actually the tacos.
Oh, really? Nice. That long line. Yeah.
So, well, it wasn't, yes, the long lines, but it was, the tacos were really good, and I think it was Sunday night that we went to.
Yeah, Sunday. Yeah.
And we really couldn't decide. Now, they had closed down the convention. They had done the final things. And we were trying to decide what to eat. And you had said that somebody had told you or recommended.
Yeah, I got some buddies out in Vegas.
And they said to go to, what was it, Taco El Gordo?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, it was like something de Gordo, Taco del Gordo, whatever. It's down by the Walgreens, right by the convention center.
Right there on that corner.
Yeah.
It was great. It was a lot of fun. The food was good. We did the pork tacos, some beef tacos. You had
sopas and stuff. Yeah. No.
So it was a lot of fun. But that was one of those. It was just kind of the off the wall. It's like, hey, what do we want for dinner? And you called up tacos. Like, Absolutely, let's go do it. It was about a mile or so walk.
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all. Yeah, it wasn't bad at all. Yeah, I know a lot of people from all over, just randomly from different industries, and I had a really good guy that I knew out there I trusted because he's a big foodie. So he was like, hey, there's one place you got to go to that's near that convention center. And he kept messaging me every day. He's like, hey, have you gone yet? Hey, have you gone yet? Hey, have you gone yet? And I was like, okay, fine, I'll go. Like, I'll convince somebody to go with me if I go by myself or what. Yeah, that was a good time. It was hot as heck in there, though.
It was very steamy.
Very steamy.
I mean,
it
was.
Yeah.
But I'd say it was first of all, it was hot.
Yeah.
Vegas was hot.
It was hot. It was hot. Now it's not Oklahoma humid.
So, no, but even at 100, I mean, it's 116 degrees. Hot is hot.
Yeah, it is hot. It is hot. I don't know. Like I've lived in Oklahoma for a while. I lived in New Orleans. Like I just can't do the humidity. Like going out to Vegas was nice because like at least if it's hot, you can walk into some shade and it's like 30 degrees, 20 degrees.
Oh, absolutely.
Like better.
Yes.
And that's so nice.
If you can get in the shade,
if it's a hot day, it's hot everywhere. Cause it just
kind of
humidity
hangs.
just like it just like hugs you right when you go outside.
No, it was actually really nice. I mean, if you got a little bit of a breeze and you got into the shade, the heat was not that bad.
It was not that bad. And at night, it wasn't bad either.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
But
don't get us wrong.
116.
It is very hot.
Yeah.
It is very hot there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
No, there's no doubt about it. But it was actually the hotel that we were at, the Spring Hill Suites, was down and around, basically around the block, and it was a nice hotel. I mean, I had really no complaints on the hotel. And
it was nice because it was like a business hotel, so it wasn't like a Vegas hotel where their like hotel rooms are really uncomfortable because they want to get you out to gamble.
They want to get you to go gamble.
Well, our hotel didn't have a casino. They had comfy beds, so it was very nice.
Very basic. I mean, it was a nice, sweet hotel.
Yeah.
I had no complaints. I was kind of worried about the walk because I mean it was a fair walk all the way around. I did 26 miles of walking based off my tracker. So going back and forth several times.
Just from that?
Just from hotel and at the conference, I did 26 miles of walking.
Yeah, it's not a fast walk, but it wasn't too bad.
It's about 15 minutes.
Yeah, about 15-minute walk. Yeah, I mean, it's just walking around the convention center. Which is a large convention center. It's still 15 or 20 minutes to walk around the entire thing.
And when I got down on the floor, so I was mostly up on the second floor where Policy Village was. Yeah. And in fact, you saw me down on the floor. You took pictures of me. You could see me through the windows. But when I got down there, I mean, they had the big main speaking areas all curtained off, and then you had to walk down and around and back to actually get to the vendor floor and to get to the, all the different other parts there. It was a lot. It was a lot of walking.
Yeah.
But there, I never really felt like it was crowded. On that area, it was fine. Up in the hallways, out on the food court. The food court, I'll tell you this, food court is expensive. The food was,
it's not good.
Yeah, I mean, it's a food court in a convention center.
I want to be nice to the convention center. They're like the great hosting Defcon, but the food was not good.
Yeah, it was. Some of it was
$12 one slice pizza. $20 burgers.
Easily. I think terrible. I did $38 for lunch one day, and I think I did burgers and onion rings and a Gatorade or something.
Yeah, not good.
So, I mean, it's food, and it'll keep you running, you know, when you need something, but it's kind of pricey.
Tip and trick for that. I know Tanner, our lead security engineer, and then like myself also did this. Like I brought a bunch of just like granola bars and like protein bars.
Yeah.
Put them in my backpack, and when I was hungry for lunch, I just ate those.
I had a few. I always try to keep a few in my pack anyway.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm traveling or whatever. I have just some protein bars, just random stuff. So I know I ate some of those, and then there was a convenience store that was just right on the corner from us that we went to at one point and got some Gatorades and a few other things.
It's not bad.
Yeah. So I mean, you can be careful, but if you're eating in that food court every day, that's plan on $30 a meal for sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Don't go to DEF CON unprepared and broke. Like you are going. Yeah, it's gonna be a bad time.
Also, make sure you have good shoes
for sure. I think we all had New Balances. Like
I
majority of us.
didn't,
So
but
just not you. Then.
Well,
Okay.
so I saw in the picture because someone made a comment about us. I saw a picture and it's like, well, are we
sponsored by New Balance,
yeah.
whatever? Because all of us are wearing New Balance. Yeah. Yeah.
I looked down and mine looked like New Balance because they matched everyone's, but mine were just 511 boots. I mean, they were just
okay.
And it was just kind of how the light hit them and everything. It's like,
you just give off the New Balance dad vibe, I guess. Like they just look at you. They don't even look at your shoe. They're just like, yeah, he's wearing New Balance. I can
fat
tell.
Dad. Yeah. I get it. But a lot of walking, and that's the thing. You got to take care of your feet because you're walking 26 miles. So
yeah, I came home, and I'm not in terrible shape, but I came home and my feet hurt so bad.
Yeah.
And I had Dr. Scholl's, and I had New Balance. Like I took care of my feet, and I still hurt.
Yeah.
So it was not easy. Definitely a lot of walking. You don't have to do a lot of walking. I mean, if you walked at the convention center, you could plop your butt down in a seat at one of the villages and never leave, like a lot of people. But
yeah, well, and I actually did that one day with policy because I wanted to hit every session I could.
Yeah.
And what I realized is if you got up from your seat, they'd give your seat away.
It was gone. Yeah.
Because you had a line of people. So if you had to go to the restroom,
if you leave your bag there, they'll take your bag and put it aside and then give it to someone else.
Yeah. So you had to be really careful.
You can't get up. Yeah. No bathroom breaks.
Yeah. No. You just had to grin and bear it.
Yep.
So okay, well, I mean, that's kind of our experience at DEF CON, kind of that personal experience of how we did. So let's get into some of your sessions. What was your favorite session? The ones that you got to go and participate. Not the ones where you actually actively just like capture the flag or anything, but the actual sessions, presentations. What was your favorite?
Yeah. Minus my own personal bias, the social engineering stuff that we did, because that was a lot of fun.
Yep.
I did go to, I'm trying to remember what it was called. I did go to one that was kind of like Jeopardy. It was gameized.
Okay.
But they did a lot of really cool learning opportunities with that too.
Yeah.
So they brought up the audience to do all the questions, and then whenever people in the audience didn't really know what they were doing, they also brought on new people from the audience, and so there was always something new going on.
Right.
And it covered everything.
Hacker Jeopardy? Is that what that was?
It was called something feat, whatever. It was an odd name.
Yeah.
But they covered everything from red team, blue team policy to cybersecurity history to AD works, or okay, here's a graph of something, how do you set this up, kind of thing. And that was really cool. Just because I felt like I never really knew what was coming up next, and it also made me realize, and I know we've talked about this before, of the whole imposter syndrome. Then you go to DEF CON and you realize oh wait, I actually do know something.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened there. Wherever I see people not answering questions, I'm like, oh, I could have done that. I was like, oh, I could have done that. And I was like, man, I do know something actually. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So
which makes you feel
cool.
good.
It does. It absolutely does.
And I will say the people that go to DEF CON, I mean, these are highly skilled people. I mean, these people in the industry doing these things. But so are you. So am I. I mean, we do this thing. So I got the same thing. I think my favorite, there was an AI governance thing that I really enjoyed. I know that sounds really boring, being at DEF CON and dealing with AI policy and governance, but I mean that's why I went, is to get into a lot more of those things that so policy village at DEF CON is fairly new. And last year I had a great time, did a handful of sessions, and this year I was really kind of focusing on that particular village. On the days that it was open, there was other days that it wasn't. On Sunday it wasn't open, so I tried to get as many as I could otherwise. But it was good sessions. You have really experienced people talking. You had a lot of good experiences and information that they were providing that you probably never heard of before. So that was great. Technologies that you've probably never used before. That was for me. I was like, oh, I've never used that tool. I want to learn more about it.
There's a lot of that, actually. Yeah, there's a lot, especially with, you're mentioning AI. There's a lot of new AI tools that I was seeing there alone. That was really cool. Yeah. Same with red teaming tools that have nothing to do with AI, blue teaming, everything. It was really cool. And there's a lot of opportunities to get hands-on with that stuff too.
Yes.
So that was cool.
Yeah.
So being able to get hands-on, learning that experience, it also made me think of another thing that I did that was really fun. I went to a class about IoT. So dealing with Internet of Things, all the different things that connect to the Wi-Fi, and how to secure that, and things that you wouldn't expect to connect to Wi-Fi that aren't just lights and things. Right. like toasters nowadays.
Yeah,
Like there's like toasters and fridges and stuff, and like going into the back ends of some of the most popular ones too was really cool. So they're showing like, okay, so this is how you secure it, but if you want to break it, here's how you break it too. And so that was really neat. So learning some of the tools of how to, like doing deauthing and then like capturing hashes or capturing handshakes and trying to like get it on there. And doing all of that live was a lot of fun too, which then also funneled directly into creating that little lamp that I have on my desk, the little like cat lamp.
I saw that. I saw you got to go do one of the villages you made that. I mean, you at least put it all together. You soldered all that stuff.
You solder all the PCB boards together. Set up the wireless interface on it, and then set up the lights. Put it all together. 3D print, and So
there was a couple of groups that were doing like at least last year. There were a couple of groups doing the SAO boards, so you could build your own custom SAO.
Yeah, I did some of that too.
Okay, did you? Because I didn't see those this year.
So the vendors were selling little like not pre-made ones, but like ones that were taken apart, and then you would go to the village and then you put them together there. So they'd have people to help guide you over there and work on that. Which also like brings me to we're talking about like the SAO stuff. The badge this year was so much better than last year. So much better than last year.
Well, to be fair, last year was a piece of plastic.
Last year was a joke. They handed them out in tubs this year. Did you see that?
No, last year's tubs?
Yeah. They had so many left over that they brought them out in tubs and like here's was it 31? Yeah, those like Defcon 31 badges for free. Just take them. Like, handing them out.
So, if you guys don't know, and I'm sure you guys do. So last year, I don't know the timing because I got my badge at Defcon or at Black Hat. So I paid for Black Hat and Defcon together. So I was doing both of them. So I got my badge there, and I got one of the plastic badges. And it was just the normal badge.
Yeah.
The next day, the rest of the team got there, and they had run out of the plastic badges, and they gave them paper badges,
like laminated paper badges.
Exactly, and they're like, "What is going on here?"
Yeah.
If I remember right, they got lost in shipment.
Yeah, that's what they were saying this year at least.
So they lost them in shipment last year. They couldn't give them out. They finally came in. So I would imagine that's why they did it.
Exactly.
But the ones this year, I do have a problem with the badges because the little red tie things.
Terrible.
I dropped the badge probably 3 times because of those stupid things.
Yeah.
But the badges are cool. It has some cool technology in it. It's actually got a Raspberry Pi chip in it.
Yeah, a unreleased at the time.
Unreleased.
Yeah, an unreleased. I don't know.
Have they released it yet? Yeah. I saw that. I don't know if they released it yet.
No, I don't know if it's released yet or not.
Yeah.
But I know at the time that we got it, it was not released.
Yep.
It was
it's new technology.
We were in the like testing pool for it. So that was pretty cool. It's on the back. It's just a small like Raspberry Pi processing chip. So,
yeah. And the badge itself, of course, there's lots of stuff you can do with the badge. You can turn the lights on and off. There's the games. It had a map in there.
Yeah, it had like a built-in map and a clock that they told us at the closing ceremony, and I wish I knew this at the beginning, if you updated the firmware, because it kept turning off and breaking. If you updated the firmware right, you could set the time, and then it would alert you for your like where you need to go for your picked classes and stuff. So if you picked your classes on there that you wanted to go to and set your time, it would tell you, it would beep at you or whatever and tell you when like where to go on the map.
Right.
Which is incredibly clever, and I wish I knew that at the beginning because I was just using my phone the whole time.
I was too.
But that's a really cool thing. And there's also still things that they're finding in the badge now. I mean, that's kind of always been a culture thing with DEF CON is like, hey, let's do some sort of technical badge where it's like it's its own CTF in its own way, right? Which is why a lot of people are upset last year. It's that like not that the badge looked bad, it just wasn't a DEF CON badge last year.
Yeah.
But it sure as heck was this year, and that was really cool.
No, I think it was too. And in fact, what we're going to do is I'm going to put my hand right here. And I'm going to have the video people put a picture of our badges with the Secure AF SAO board that we got custom made.
Yeah, we did do that
right here, so you can see what it looks like. And if they don't do that, it's just going to look like I had my hand in the air for no reason at all. So you can just ignore that.
And for audio listeners, it looks like a cat mixed with a Game Boy. It's kind of interesting. Yeah.
What I got was I guess it was supposed to flip upside down. So when you flipped it up to play it, it would go to where you can see it. But when you dropped it would. Mine never did that.
Really?
Yeah, mine never did that.
Huh. Okay.
Granted, it hit the ground a couple of times.
Yeah, you probably broke it. Yeah.
You know, there was to give you a little bit of backstory. So you got the lanyard, the DEF CON lanyard, and then you had this thing that looked like a cat. The badge looked like a cat with ears, and that's where you're supposed to hook the lanyard onto.
Yeah.
but they gave you these little red, little
like
tiny,
little loop,
little loop thing hooks,
that
you're supposed to loop through the ears and then hook onto the lanyard, and they were crap.
Yeah, they broke often. Mine broke after the first day. Yeah,
a lot of people actually pulled them out broke.
Yeah.
When they pulled them out of the bag, they were broke. So
Tanner's, I think, had one that was broken when he pulled it out.
Yeah.
Maybe
so
it was Keelan, right?
we had to kind of rig it to. You had to rig it to make it work, and then they were giving away zip ties at one point. It was just kind of a pain.
Yeah, it was less of a problem with the badge and more of the problem with their lanyard this year, which is such a small complaint from me, but like that was kind of annoying because. They keep asking where your badge is, but I couldn't have it on me.
Yeah.
Because I had to tie it to my lanyard that it would either be a choker on me or I would have to like put it on my bag.
Yeah.
So I put it on my bag and I'm walking by like, where is it? And I have to turn my bag like it's over here, like show them that I have my badge.
I mean, those badges are not cheap, especially with the technology that went into them.
No, not at all. Yeah.
And then you put in the cheapest lanyard, and the lanyard itself was fine. It was just a standard lanyard. It's those little connectors that, I'm sure someone bought, 100,000 of those things because each person got 2.
Yeah.
And they were just cheap and they broke. I know at one point I pulled a piece of paracord out of my bag and tied it on there. And it was just, I will tell you this, the badge experience was lessened because of those cheap little connectors.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it was lessened a significant amount. The badge was still cool. The technology is cool. What the game was, was kind of fun to go play.
Yeah.
They had some really cool things in it. I saw someone who put Palm Pilot on one of those.
Yeah, I put Pokemon on mine.
Did you?
Yeah, I played Pokemon on mine. Yeah. Fun fact, speedrun.com, speedrunning community for video games has a Defcon 32 badge category now.
Nice.
And I did compete in speedrunning the game.
That is awesome.
At the time, because it was fun. I had an afternoon. Some people went out and I wasn't feeling super great, so I was like, I'll stay back and I'll mess with this a little bit. And I joined the Discord for the badge and found out there's people who are speedrunning it. I was like, fine, I'll mess around with it. So I did that. That was fun. Uploaded Pokemon of mine, just playing Pokemon Yellow on it, legally, of course, for my legal copy that I carry with me everywhere. So I mean, the badge was great. It would have been cool if they had on the actual hardware itself some way to clip it onto the lanyard and not have to use a third thing. Yeah. But besides that, like disregarding the lanyard, disregarding that, just as a machine itself, it was kind of impressive.
Oh, it was.
They had a really cool, and the best part about it and how they were talking about it this year is they wanted something that was a lot more approachable to everybody in security, not just people who are really into CTS, but someone like, we have some kids here who want to play video games. Here we go. There's some video game things, or like we have some people here who.
And I actually had somebody who had their little daughter. I was talking with him, and she was sitting there playing on the thing.
Yeah.
She had a different badge on, like a kid's badge, maybe. I don't know. It was something else.
They have like some juniors program at Defcon. They had their own badges.
But she was playing her dad's, thing. And it's like, oh, well, that's great. And of course, I was too.
It was a lot of fun.
It
was a good way to pass the time. Yeah.
And what I found interesting is the map you were playing in the game was the map of the convention center.
Yeah, it was the actual convention center.
Yeah, so you were going into the rooms, and of course, I was having fun going into the policy room or whatever.
Of course you were.
Whatever. Yeah.
That reminds me. We don't have to talk about this story. It's super short, but you remember the guy in the elevator right when we got to the hotel for the first time that had his backpack facing me?
Yes.
It turns out he's one of the head goons.
Was it really?
He was one of the head goons, and he still has no idea that happened. But that was a lot of fun. So, yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, we'll leave it at that. So, so let me tell you, the hotel we were at, again, it was Spring Hill Suites, and it was down around the corner. It was a nice hotel, but they also took over like the 8th floor for one of the villages.
Yeah, well, for all of the classes, like they had the multi-hour long courses that they do. Yes. They had it there.
Yeah. So there was a lot of people, not only from just the regular attendance at DEF CON in the Spring Hill Suites, but also a lot of the goons were there because they were putting on events and things. So,
yeah, correct. Yeah.
It
was definitely fun when I was trying to go to the room on Friday, and they're like, "Where's your badge?" I'm like, "I am staying here." And they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I'm like, yeah, "Thank you." They didn't want to let me into the elevator. They're like, "You need to get in line." I'm like, I'm staying here. Let me go to my room, please.
I'm not. Yeah. And that's the interesting thing is, So one of the things you're going to have to figure out when you go, you will realize very quickly who the goons are and what their job is.
Yep, red shirts, red badges, whatever.
And I actually had there were several people who were goons that I knew. They came and found me where I was at, and we sat and we talked a little bit. People I haven't seen for years.
That's cool.
And but they have a very difficult job. I'll give it to them. They are not the most well liked in a position. The people are fine, but the position. A lot of people throw a lot of hate at the goons.
Yeah, there's some. Am I allowed to say a word on the podcast?
Yes. Go ahead and say it.
I'm not saying anything mean. I'm just making sure.
No, go ahead and
we're
say
not
it.
in the after dark prediction.
Okay, you're probably fine.
They're kind of hard asses.
They are,
but it's their job, right?
Absolutely.
So no hate towards them at all, but it's kind of a rite of passage to get called out by a goon at some point. So. Which I had within my first 30 minutes of the con. Because
what were you doing?
I took longer than 2 seconds to get out of line for my badge. Because Donovan was right behind me. He's like, hey, wait for me, because he was trying to tell me something. So I just waited for him to get his badge. And a goon
no, they're going to yell at you for that.
The goon yelled at me, and I was like, hey, man, I'm just waiting for my boss over here. And he's like, well, isn't that convenient of you? Get out. And I was like, oh, shoot. Okay, my bad, man. Like,
I only had one run-in. And it wasn't even really a run-in. I was doing something at a table, kind of sitting like this. I was doing something, waiting for a session. And a goon walked by, and I saw him.
Yeah.
I didn't think anything of it, because they're everywhere. I mean, there's hundreds of them.
Yeah.
He walked back by, and again, I saw him. I realized he was there, and I'm still doing and he stops. He goes, where's your badge? And I looked up at him like,
huh?
Are you... who you're talking to?
Yeah.
And he's looking right at me by this point, and I literally leaned back, and my badge was hanging there. It just happened to be hanging under the table because I had to get rid of those stupid red things because it kept breaking. I put another piece of cord on there, which made it a little longer, and it's hung below the thing.
Got you. Yeah.
It's like, okay, here you go. But I will say this is a stupid story. I don't think I've told anybody this. So Saturday morning, I think it was Saturday morning. So I get there, I get up early. Now I'm still on Central Time, so I was getting up at 4:30 in the morning, and I can't go back to sleep. So I usually lay there in the hotel till about 5:30, get back into bed or go take a shower, get up, and so I was ready to go. I'd go get breakfast, whatever. So I got to the convention center, and they didn't have the doors open. They were supposed to open them at 8 or whenever it was, but we all stood around for a while, and my badge was in my pack because I threw it in there to make sure I brought it with me in the morning. Got in, went upstairs. No one bothered me yet, but I knew I had to get the badge on because someone's going to harass you. And I grabbed a table. I opened up my bag. I pulled out the badge, and I realized I didn't have my phone. I left my phone in the hotel. I was like, well, crap. So I went to go zip up my bag. I start heading back to the hotel. I get outside the building and realize I left my badge on the table in the building. So I don't have my phone. I don't have my badge. And it's like, so I ran back to the Vegas Convention Center.
Yeah.
I limped back because my foot was hurting at the time. I got back and I found a door that I could sneak into. It was an unlocked door so I got in, I ran upstairs, and someone is sitting there playing my badge. And he sees me and he starts laughing at me. Yeah. He goes, I saw you leave it and I didn't know what to do, so I just sat down and waited and figured if you remembered it, you'd come and get it. So he handed it to me. I threw it on my neck, went back to the hotel,
got
my phone. I did get lucky.
Get lucky
because it would have been $450 to get a new badge.
Yeah. Was that a goon with it, or was it just some?
No, just a random person.
Yeah, you're lucky he was a good guy.
Yeah. And to be fair, most people at Defcon are good people. I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, he was just sitting there playing, and he goes, "Yeah, I saw you leave it, and I figured you'd be back, so I just kind of hung out." And it was very early; there wasn't hardly anybody around. But yeah, that's my badge
I can't imagine
experience.
if that would have happened on like a Friday afternoon.
Oh God,
your badge would have been gone. There's no way.
No, it would have been gone.
That's crazy. Yeah.
I mean, I would hope people would have left it because someone's going to remember it and come back. But yeah, and they do not treat it well. I mean, you can't go get a new badge, because you have to pay full price.
Yeah, no, and if you wanted an extra badge this year, they sold it for, I think it was like $300.
I think the very last day they started selling them cheaper because
it has some leftover.
They had leftovers, and it was
like
Sunday.
200 something. I think.
Yeah, it was like 220 or whatever it was,
which is still not cheap, but like.
Well, to be fair, and I was talking to someone who wanted to go get one for someone else.
Yeah.
The technology that's in it is probably worth it. If you had to buy that Raspberry Pi at that price, what it was.
Yeah, that's true.
It's probably going to be about that same price.
Yeah, especially for unreleased tech. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, because I mean, the Raspberry Pi itself wouldn't be like the $220
no,
but for it being unreleased.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so I mean, it was a cool chip. It's got some cool technology in it.
Yeah.
I think it's a touchscreen.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It also has speakers in it, but the game doesn't use it. So.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I guess, I saw the music on the SD card, but I never played it, so I never even thought about, okay.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so they said something with the game wasn't working with the speakers, but there's a speaker and a touchscreen on it.
Can you imagine everyone playing something with sounds?
That would have been so loud.
It would have been.
I mean, it's already loud in there. Maybe it wouldn't have changed much, but it would have been annoying. That's for sure.
Wow.
Imagine trying to give a speech with everyone just playing like game music out in the. Nope.
You know what they could do? It would be kind of fun is if all of those devices had like Bluetooth or something on them, and then they manage that at the conference for the sessions.
Did you know they talk to each other? The IR sensor at the bottom?
Okay, so I knew it had IR. I hadn't done anything with it yet. So
so there was a part of the game where you can like scan someone else's badge, and you can get things in the game or get like new colors or characters or whatever, depending on
that's cool.
who else was. Yeah, so they had connecting capabilities to it, but they limited it because they were kind of afraid of like what people were going to do with it. But they were like, hey, they were like, hey, con's over, do what you want. Break the thing. They gave like the schematics of like, hey, if you want to use this for something else, this is how you like break into it and do it. So they just showed people how to do it on the last day. But it's Bluetooth would have been interesting. Would have definitely flooded any sort of Bluetooth connection in that place. Like, good luck being a vendor needing to use Bluetooth. Like, goodbye. Yeah, it's like, oh look, I just got to connect to my one headset or whatever, and you're scrolling through, and there's just thousands of badges with Bluetooth open. I couldn't.
You just would have given up.
Yeah, it's like I don't need to listen to music today. I'll just play it out loud. Yeah. No, Defcon was a great experience. Like everything about it was great. People were great. Definitely come prepared. Like, come with some food if you don't have the money for food every day, especially for that price.
Oh God,
come with good shoes. Take care of yourself. Try to get some sleep if you can. I know a lot of people at DEF CON don't get sleep. That's fine if you can handle that. But understand that, like,
I wanted sleep.
Yeah. It's like I wanted to be there the whole time because I didn't want to miss any opportunity of like meeting people or doing things. So. At a point there is a time where having that discipline of like I need to go to bed so I can be up and be around and social tomorrow is like really important. And then there's only one day that I felt sick, so I didn't show up until like 10 I think that day. But that was completely unrelated to partying and stuff. I just had some bad food. So
my recommendation is get you some water and some Gatorade and put it in your pack.
For sure.
Always had my water bottle. I always got a Gatorade. Again, at the convenience store, it was much cheaper than getting it somewhere else. But I always made sure I had both.
Yeah.
And I felt it. There was times where I really needed to have just a little bit of sugar, some electrolytes or whatever, and it made a difference in the rest of the session I was at. And
stay healthy.
Absolutely.
Do well. Yep. Also, obviously great connecting opportunity. I brought my QR code for LinkedIn with me. So I'd have people pull up LinkedIn and just scan it and be like, cool, there we go. We're connected now. Had a great connections that way. Automated some responses to some people. Don't tell them that if you're watching. Yeah. I totally sent you a message on my own.
Absolutely. That
was me, handwritten everything. Just to be like, all right, if I added somebody in the last 24 hours or like last week, send them a message just seeing how they're doing, saying it was great to meet them at DEF CON. And that's what I did.
Yes.
So it was great, adding those connections in there, meeting those people, learning a lot of cool things, finally being able to go after years of wanting to go to DEF CON, regardless if it wasn't at Caesar. Even being at the convention center, I feel like it is a great venue for that con to grow. I think there is definitely some potential for doing the con a little better.
Yes.
Moving forward.
Okay, so let's talk about that. I know we're running up on time on this, but what would you like to see different?
The merch. Absolutely the merch. The merch line is atrocious. The
merch line is useless.
Is absolutely useless. Absolutely useless.
If you want to go and stand in a line, go out in the woods, stand in front of a tree, and the line's going to move faster.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's
terrible. People on Thursday were there for 8 hours.
Oh yeah.
I talked to people who were there for 8 hours in that line. That is ridiculous.
And still didn't get in.
No, yeah, and things were still sold out. So like, I mean, I understand that they had the Hacker Tracker app that allowed people to like pick out what they want before they got in there.
Yep.
So like, because you couldn't go in there and tell them what you want, you had to have it pre-picked, and they scan your QR code, they grab your things, whatever.
Yep.
But like, how hard would it be to do like prepay stuff?
Well, here's the thing. It was cash only.
It was.
So people were in line. They waited 6 hours, 8 hours, whatever. Yeah. Got there, and it's like cash only. They had to leave. Mm-hmm. That was a complete waste of 8 hours.
Yeah, correct.
Now, everyone's going to say, well, you should have seen it on Hacker Tracker. I understand that.
Yeah.
They could have put signs up. They could have let people know. But I will say, I will not ever try to get merch in that line. It's completely useless.
You buy it online afterwards or something.
At one point, the line went upstairs. So the merch was upstairs. The line went downstairs, across the lobby, back upstairs, back down, and then looped around the main area.
It was 2 stories tall on Thursday. Yeah, 2 stories.
It's just...
They couldn't wrap it around one story. The convention center, they had to do 2. That's ridiculous.
It's incredible. Yeah. So I see no point in that. I'm sorry, there was nothing in the merch that
nothing
would want me to stand in line that long to get it. No offense, Defcon. No offense, anybody else. The merch is not worth that.
No. Like, it would have been cool to have a shirt or something, but like I'm not waiting more than like maybe 20 minutes on a shirt, maybe 30.
And they could do it. I don't have any problem with, let's pre-sell it, like you said.
Yeah.
Pre-sell it off the app. Get a ticket. Get a time to go pick it up.
Exactly. That would have been so much better.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so much better. Like, hey, here's your like 10-minute window. Come pick it up during this time.
Yep.
Your order will be ready then.
Right.
That would have gone by so much faster.
Yeah. In and out, just really quick.
It had to have been some issue with him taking card or being worried about taking card or doing something.
I get that, but there's some risk for cash too.
You could also just pre-purchase it. Just say like, hey, buy it off the app.
Yeah.
So that way, like, if someone doesn't want to be at the con center because they're like worried about being at the center when they're using their credit card, go do it at your hotel, buy it, go back the next day and pick it up. It's not that. Yeah.
I think that's absolutely a legitimate thing. Let's buy it on the app. You know, if you want that stuff. I mean, I don't think they were necessarily overpriced.
No.
I mean, I didn't see anything that was outrageous.
Shirts were like $25 to $30.
Yeah. But
yeah,
I'm sorry, 8 hours of time.
Heck no. Yeah, especially for like you can't even purchase it on your phone. You had to like preload what you wanted, then show them at the front, which is pointless. Like,
they scanned. I think it was a QR code. They scanned the QR code and they went and grabbed it. And it was.
It's like they didn't have your order pre-made after you put it together in your cart. Like you still had to tell them what you wanted. So I didn't see the point of that. That was weird. But that could be better.
I would agree with that. I think. I would pay extra to get in sessions. If I could guarantee that I could get into a session, you know, if I could say there's a particular session that I really wanted to go see, even if I'd get there early or whatever, but if it's in the middle of the day, you're trying to hit multiple sessions but if there is a session, I would pay extra to make sure I got into that session.
So the ones that were at our hotel were that way.
The trainings,
and also the IoT thing that I did at the actual con.
Okay, pre-register
too.
All right.
So they had pre-registering, but not everybody did it because I think they allowed the villages to kind of do their own thing.
I can see that.
Pre-registering would have been way better, or at least like I don't know, like seclude out the first 3 rows and be like, these are for paid people who wanted to be here.
I'm great with that. If I could. Because there were some sessions I wanted to go to that I got kicked out of I got in the line and the line
just
wouldn't go that far. I just didn't make it.
Yeah.
But then I'm stuck because you can't get in any other sessions.
Correct.
So it's like, okay, well, what do? You talk to people, you do other things. I'm not standing in merch. No way.
Nope. Not worth it.
Depending on the time of day, I may not go down to the food court. It's just the lines are too long there and it's expensive. So you really just go to your next session and wait. Yeah. Now, to be fair, I did my email, I did whatever,
Yeah, you never stopped working.
Yeah, so, exactly. Yeah. So it wasn't that big of a deal, but I would have rather gone to the session. And the way they were doing the sessions for me, the ones I was in, and they did this with every one of them, you're sitting there. If someone got up and left, they would allow one more person back into the room, a new person. So the rotation is you had to leave one door, even if you had to use the restroom or something, they would leave, the next person would come in and take their seats. Mm-hmm. So depending on how many people left, that's how many people got into the room.
Yeah, you had to be lucky that everyone wanted to leave for you to come in.
For the next session.
Because they don't kick anybody out at all.
Yeah, no, they just wait.
They just wait.
And then they just let people filter in. So that was my complaint, is I didn't like the way they did the sessions, because there were sessions I couldn't get. Now, I have no problem not getting into sessions, or if a session is full, that's great. I'm glad that people are there and is watching it. I hated the fact that if you go to a session, you try to get in and you don't, you have no option to go into any other session.
No.
At least
because every door is closed.
Every door is closed. Yeah.
I mean, they did have a new session. They try to have a new session every 15 to 30 minutes, but they weren't always close enough together that you could actually even make it there in time. So you just kind of had to just wait for the one that you want to go to at if you're going at 4 and it closed at 4, you just have to go to the one at 5.
Yep.
Or else you're going to miss that one if you go to a 4:15 or 4:31. Yeah. And then another thing that they did talk about changing, that they are going to change, and they put out a statement on it now. Okay. Is the Resort World issue with that hotel.
Oh yeah.
So and that's not a Defcon issue. That was
not.
That was a hotel staff and ownership issue of one of the hotels that Defcon partnered with this year. Decided to do searches of everybody's room
checks.
Yeah, room checks. They told them that they were going to do that. And I knew some people, and I met some people who were staying there, and they did confirm that it was 8 a.m. one morning that one of the clerks and a police officer comes in, and they look through your room just carefully for, in quote, suspicious technologies, whatever that means. So DEFCON waited for everybody to leave, and then put out a statement saying that they weren't happy with that and aren't going to partner with them again.
Which I'm glad they waited until everyone left.
Yeah, no hostages. Keep them safe.
I appreciate they did that. So this was a couple of years ago now. So this is only my second DEFCON, but there was probably 3 or 4 years ago now that they did in-room searches.
Yep.
And if I remember the stories right, they went in when people weren't there. Mm-hmm. And they searched the rooms, and at one point they walked in as someone was getting out of the shower, and all of a sudden there's people in your room, and that made a big fuss.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, even if you didn't know it was employees at the time, imagine
just somebody in your room.
Imagine if you didn't know. Yeah, I think someone's trying to steal my stuff. I mean, especially at DEFCON, there are everyone there. A lot of people there are very nice. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But there are absolutely people there who are not there with
and it's
great
not
intention.
we don't have cheap stuff. I mean, we have laptops and technology.
Everybody there has a laptop or something that's worth something, right? So having those rooms and that, your security of your space like that not really treated right or respected it just doesn't feel good, right? And it can be scary to people too. Something that you like to do in policy is, when we're putting together a tabletop, you like to escalate it to the highest standard here. Someone could die from this. What if someone had trauma from that? And then, absolutely. Pre-trauma before that, and someone walks in and they think someone broke in on them. How do they react to that, right? Yeah. And that's not cool. You can't do that unannounced like that.
And it's not necessary. I mean, if there's a real threat, I understand.
Yeah.
But this...
But having police in people's rooms looking for suspicious technology with the only thought being, we don't want these hackers here because they hacked the Caesar, which they didn't, by the way, the previous year. They were just worried of being another victim, even though, again, that was not a DEFCON problem. It just happened to line up that way.
And what's interesting, though, I mean, this is DEFCON 32.
32.
Yeah. 32 years. Yep. That this has been going on. Now it's grown, over the last 10, 15 years for sure.
So. Yep.
But this is a yearly thing. This happens. And the thing about the people that go to DEFCONs, these are These are hackers. These are hackers, not in a bad name, by the way. This is just traditional.
Like testers. Yeah,
they're the ones who they want to learn more about whatever they're doing, the software, the hardware, whatever. You've got researchers. You've got feds. You have law enforcement. You have everybody at this convention. It's not just a hacker convention. Not like maybe it was 20 years ago. I don't know. I wasn't there, but it's very different. I mean, there was a lot of people that went to Black Hat, which is at least currently seen as that more corporate way of cyber conference. I mean, you have a lot more people in suits and such there, but they were also at Defcon. So, I mean, this is a wide variety of people. But here's the other thing. Most of these people at Defcon are in a position where they are defending organizations. They're either pen testing them, they're defending them, they're blue teamers, they're CISOs, whatever they are. And then the other good portion of them are the ones who are actively doing research to find problems so they can fix it to prevent malicious people from hacking into systems and applications and whatever. So ultimately, you have a conference full of people doing good things. And everyone is freaked out over it.
And don't get me wrong. Just because there's a whole conference of good people doesn't mean there's not some outliers too.
Oh, you're right. Absolutely.
But it is absolutely a security conference more than it has. It used to always be a hacking conference, and it still is at heart, but it has become a security conference.
So let me ask you something. I want your honest belief. If you saw somebody who was truly hacking, in a malicious intent, not
that'd be hard. That'd be hard to see by just walking by there.
I get it. But if you found out someone was hacking, let's say they were hacking the convention center or they were hacking MGM or whatever, most people are going to do something about it.
Oh, absolutely.
They're going to tell them to stop because it's a bad name for everybody.
Yeah, not even just the hacking thing. The people, like for instance, there's people who brought fake money this year who thought it'd be kind of fun to do. They got kicked out by the goons pretty fast because they don't play around with that. There was also a couple restraining order things that were passed or that were being broken, and they took care of that instantly. And they did talk about how they had a few people trying to do malicious things that they have a dedicated SOC there.
Right. That's the whole point.
That turned it. That like stopped that instantly. The majority of the community there. I mean, it's. I would say honor amongst thieves, but we're not thieves, right? It's if one like we're all in security.
It's an integrity issue.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So like all of us are in security, and even if I wasn't in security and say I was a malicious actor, and I saw someone else like harshing my fun, like screw them. Right. Yeah.
Right.
It's like so like it's like trying to pull out a gun in a gun show. It's like you're at the worst possible place to be to try to be malicious, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It is. And that's what gets me is everyone gets freaked out at this conference, but most of the people that go to this conference, they want to do good things. I'm sure that there are people who have malicious intent. They want to go learn it. I get it.
Yeah. But not the space for them to play around.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean I hope that the hotels, the convention center, all the people who are involved in this really realize that the groups that are there, the people that are there, they're trying to do good things, and let's support them. You know?
Absolutely.
If they're doing now, I will say this: if they're doing something wrong, they're going to self-fix. I mean, when the goons are there for a reason, and love them or hate them, if you're doing something wrong, they're on you. Yeah, they're going to get on you.
Yeah.
So those are the things that I agree with you. I think I didn't like what the resort did, but it felt very much the same as what they did a couple years ago when they were getting into people's rooms.
Yeah. Which they didn't like that either, though, a few years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
Out of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's just because that Las Vegas was shut down last year due to some of the, I guess it was. Yeah, it was.
MGM happened, and there was a couple of them that got hit after Black Hat and Defcon, I believe. I believe it was after because I don't remember.
Yeah, I guess it would be more of a compromise when it came to.
And they were ransomware.
Yeah,
if I remember right.
Yeah.
But there's no proof that anybody at Defcon did it.
Well, they found out who did the potentially found out who did the
threat actor
Caesar one. Yeah, just kid social engineered. So wasn't even related to Defcon. at all.
Yeah.
But it shut down the city, and so everyone's so scared about it. But it's like, I don't think they understand that DEFCON is the place where security grows.
Right.
Like, we have seen some of the best, like, day zero stuff, day zero patches, like progression in cybersecurity community as a whole at DEFCON consistently for the last like 20 years now.
Yes.
And so that's something to be proud of, is that they're like, hey, some of the best cybersecurity in the world gets developed starting here.
Yeah.
And so, like, being embarrassed of them or scared of them because they can hack stuff is like, it's a red herring. It's something that's like not really there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little frustrating.
It is. And again, 32 years.
Yeah.
They've been doing it a very long time.
Long time.
In Vegas.
Yep.
And it's Black Hat. I mean, they've got Black Hat, they've got DEFCON, they've got Las Vegas B-Side, or B-Sides Las Vegas. So, I mean, you have a week of people there. Yeah, I get it. So, with that said, I think we're probably getting very close on time. No one has thrown anything at us yet and through the door. So, but do you have any final things? I mean, are you going to go back?
I would love to.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, like, if it's within my power, I absolutely will.
Yeah.
Like, I plan on going back. I've already gotten maybe like 10 people asking, like, hey, man, are you going to be back next year? Like, I'd love to see you next year. And then I got in talks, not guaranteed or anything, but I would love to work in their SOC at 1 year. That'd be a lot of cool.
One of the people I knew was working the SOC this year.
Yeah.
And she said it was very cool.
I have been told the same thing.
Yeah.
I've been told that if it's an opportunity for you to do, you should do it. And I was like, cool, I will try. So
yeah, that would be really cool.
That'd be a lot of fun. You would be a goon, but you wouldn't be a goon, you know?
No,
like,
they've got, she had a different badge.
Oh, really? Okay. Actually don't know that.
And, well, it was a different color, of course. Mm-hmm. And she did not have a red shirt on. So, I mean...
Cool. So they have their own, like... I know they have their own dedicated SOC team, but I know it's associated with the goons, because when they did the closing ceremony stuff, they had the lead of the SOC, who was a goon, come up and present stuff.
Yeah.
But they did say that it is a kind of a separate identity.
Right.
So, like, yeah...
It's a separate job. I mean, you're a goon, but... You're a goon in the fact that you're working for DEFCON, but you're doing a separate job.
Yeah, I'm not like getting onto people. You're helping protect people.
Right.
And I think that's really cool.
I think that'd be awesome.
I think it'd be dope. Yeah, I would love to do that. Or if I just go back in the same way that I did this year, I think that'd be just as fun.
Yeah.
Like, I think DEFCON is a great opportunity for like learning your own skills, developing your own skills. You know, networking, connecting to people, growing your own, resources, and finding new tools. It's phenomenal. And if you're in cybersecurity and you have the opportunity to go, or hacking, or just interested in cybersecurity, absolutely go. Like, it's a no question for me.
Yeah.
If someone asks, like, would you recommend to go? Yes. Like,
it's a bucket list item for sure for everybody. I think if you're in the security industry, at some point, get to DEFCON. And Black Hat. Black Hat's more expensive, but get to DEFCON so that you can see what this is about.
And I want to go to the policy stuff next year. Every time I try to meet up with you, the policy, I got caught up with something else. Or someone would stop me, or like I would see something that was like, I need to be there for that. And every time I was trying to get up to policy, I got stopped.
I enjoyed it. I know I'm weird. In fact, there was another person there that came in and she caught a lot of flack about, I gotta go find Kimmitt up in policy, and but it was actually really good. I thought they were really good sessions.
Who was that?
Carrie.
That's right. I talked with her in the hallway there.
Yeah.
And
I love Carrie, and we do B-Sides together, and she does a lot of stuff around here, so it was a lot of fun to talk to her out at B-Side, or at DEFCON, but it was. Not a lot of people like policy stuff. But it was really interesting. I mean, there was stuff about Taiwan. There was AI. There was all kinds of different things. So it was a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, it's just red team's like the new and cool thing, right? Like, you see that a lot.
Yeah.
In a lot of media. You see hacking as like the end goal for a lot of people, and it's just like not a lot of people look at blue team as like something that they want to like climb in. They want to get good enough so they can do red team.
Yeah.
But policy's fun. I've always liked policy. I've always liked blue team. I think that stuff is just as fun for me.
Yeah.
Same with like development, even security development stuff. I like doing that stuff too.
Yeah.
So,
and that's another thing to keep in mind. You're going to meet just about every single position in security at DEFCON.
Absolutely.
There are so many people here. Every type of personality, every type of position and industry. If you are interested in learning about security, when you go to DEFCON, talk to people. You will find somebody who has the same kind of likes you do, the same kind of skill sets you do. Yeah. It might be someone you can get as a mentor. It might be someone to mentor someone else. It is incredible the amount of people that are there. The sessions are really good. It's a lot of fun. It can be overwhelming. Take care of yourself, of course. I'm torn because I enjoy doing it. I enjoyed Black Hat as well.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do both, the timing and the costs and everything.
I can't imagine the walking. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
from back to back like that.
It was a long week. I was there for 8 days, I think. I don't remember now. It was so flying in to flying out, I think it was 8 days for me. So there was actually somebody there I was talking to, and he left Sunday morning because he had done that. He had done Black Hat and Defcon. And he says, I'm done. I changed my flights. I'm out of here. I'm going home. I just can't do another day.
Really?
So, hey, understood. He did a lot of time. So
yeah.
Anyway, well, PJ, first, thanks for getting on the podcast with us.
Yeah, absolutely, anytime.
This was a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed our breakdown. It wasn't really a structured breakdown. It was just kind of a fun breakdown of our experience at DEF CON. Yep. I hope to see everyone at the next DEF CON if you get a chance to go, and we go as well. We like to at least stay on top of the industry and go out, and this is a great way of doing it. So
show up to the meetup. Say hi.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you see any of our faces, come say hi.
Yep.
And hopefully we get an opportunity to talk about some of the fun stories too. Some of the funny stuff that happened. I got a list of funny stories from DEF CON this year.
And that's the thing. There's a lot of stuff you can't say on a podcast.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of things that happened. So if you can catch PJ, he's got a lot more stories than I do because I'm pretty boring. But there was a lot of stuff that happened, and I will say this: if you intend to go to DEF CON, find someone that's gone and go talk to them so that they can really give you a good understanding of what to do, what not to do. Certainly take care of yourself, your shoes, food and water, things like that. But go find someone to let you know the things to think about while you're there, because there's a lot.
Yeah, okay, one last comment on that, specifically with DEF CON, the community there being so good with new people.
Yep.
If you go there and say, hey, this is my first con, they will help you with everything.
Absolutely.
And it is phenomenal. Please, please, please use that resource.
And I think there's an orientation
there
in
is.
there.
Well, kind of. They didn't really do a full orientation this year. They kind of did. It was
okay.
But they pretty much told us, hey, there's all these little places you can go to and say, hey, I'm new here. Can you help me with this thing? And a goon will help you, or someone who's been there will help you.
Yeah.
Same thing with any of the villages I went to, too. I tell them, hey, this is my first con. They're like, cool, let me show you everything. Yeah. And it was super fun.
Yeah.
If it's your first con or it's your second con or third con and you feel like stretching the truth a little and just getting some extra help, just say it's your first con. You'll get a lot of help.
We can all learn something.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people are willing to help. That's the cool thing. Yeah. As much as we get flack to goons, I had several goons that I met. They were really great. They were a lot of fun. Standing in line, the lanes you have to stand in, they'll sit and chat with you. And, I had a couple, one person who really liked the patches on my back. And, cool. We just sat there and talked about them for 10 minutes and such. So anyway, I think that's it for this podcast. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I hope everyone has a great rest of the week. We've got a couple more days of the week. And catch us next time on the next Secure AF podcast. Thanks, everybody.